Blizzard has somehow turned a World of Warcraft launch into the kind of nonsense that makes you laugh first, then sigh, then stare at your monitor like it personally betrayed you. That is the mood here. Not world-ending rage. Not table-flipping fury. Just that very specific, very modern annoyance, where a company does something so needlessly irritating that you almost have to admire the confidence. Rest assured, this is 100% human vocal cords. If I were using AI, I'd have definitely opted for a much cooler voice than this one. Because that is what this is. Annoying. Not dramatic in a civilization is collapsing way. More like somebody took the communal fun of a MMO launch, cut a slice out of the middle, put it behind glass, and said that'll be extra thanks. And the worst part is how silly it feels. This is not some elite military simulation. This is World of Warcraft. This is the game where you can save reality at noon and spend dinner time dressed like a glowing chandelier. So, when Blizzard says here's midnight, but some people get in early if they buy the pricier version, the reaction is not really heartbreak. It is more that exhausted laugh you do when your phone autocorrects your own name wrong. Of course. Obviously. Naturally, we have reached the point where launch day itself has become a premium feature. Why sell the expansion normally when you can also sell being on time? That is the core irritation. It is not even the number on the price tag by itself. It is the feeling of somebody taking a thing that used to be shared and then turning it into priority boarding. Same destination, same flight, same cramped seat. But now one group gets called first while everybody else stands there with their bag and a fake smile, pretending this is not extremely dumb. And there is something weirdly funny about that in a MMO. These launches used to feel like school trips for adults with poor sleep habits. Everybody showed up at once. Servers groaned. Guild chats exploded. People tripped over each other, trying to click the same quest giver. It was chaos, but it was community chaos. Shared suffering, shared excitement, shared panic. It felt messy, but it felt like everybody was in the same mess together. Now it feels like somebody roped off half the playground and put up a sign that says premium children only. Which is funny for about 2 seconds, and then it turns into that low, grade irritation that makes you walk around the room muttering, why are we doing this? Who asked for this? Who looked at an MMO launch and thought it needed a fast pass? That is why people keep calling it delayed access instead of early access. Because early access sounds generous. It sounds like somebody is giving you a little extra. Delayed access sounds like what actually happened. The game is there. The launch is happening. But if you bought the normal version, congratulations, your reward is waiting outside, while other people post screenshots from inside the event you were also invited to. And yes, I know somebody always shows up to say, it is only a few days. Right? Which is exactly why it is annoying instead of tragic. It is not enough to ruin your life. It is just enough to make you roll your eyes so hard, you nearly see the back of your own skull. It is the gaming equivalent of paying for a concert ticket, and then finding out the people with the shiny wristbands got let in first, to buy all the merch and take all the good spots. You can survive it, obviously. Nobody is being marched into the sea. But it still changes the vibe. A launch is supposed to feel like the big stupid party where everybody runs through the door together. The instant you stagger that by price tier, the mood changes. Now it is not one crowd. It is the people inside, and the people refreshing Twitter, and pretending they are not annoyed, while absolutely being annoyed. And that is the watchable part of this whole thing. It is not volcanic anger. It is the sheer pettiness of the setup. It is so small and so unnecessary. Blizzard looked at a moment that already had built-in hype and decided it needed a little extra shopkeeper energy. Not content, not polish, not smoother servers. Just one more way to make the launch screen feel like it has a receptionist. That is what gets me. The sheer office, manager energy of it. You can almost hear the email. We are excited to enhance the player experience by introducing a premium launch window. No, you are not enhancing anything. You are putting a velvet rope in front of a digital cave and acting like it is innovation. It is not innovation. It is queue management with nicer fonts. And the funniest part is that World of Warcraft is the perfect game for this to look absurd. This is not sleek. This is not cool. This is not some luxury product with chrome edges and dramatic violin music. This is a game where a giant cow in plate armor can dance next to a wizard holding a fish. Trying to make that ecosystem feel exclusive is hilarious. It is like putting a VIP rope outside a buffet. So the whole thing lands as mildly insulting and deeply goofy. People are not furious because the move is clever. They are annoyed because the move is cheap. It feels like Blizzard found one of the few remaining communal moments in the game and decided to nickel and dime the countdown itself. Not even the content, the countdown. The timing. The social moment. That is almost impressive in a grubby little way, and you can see why it gets under people's skin, even if they do not care about the actual race to level, or any of the competitive stuff. Most players are not trying to become server legends. They just want to log in with their friends when the thing comes out and have that dumb, chaotic launch night energy. That is it. Snacks out. Discord open, everybody yelling over each other, half the group getting distracted by side quests. One guy already lost. Someone forgot to update add-ins. Beautiful disaster. Then Blizzard strolls in and says, actually, some of you may enter the beautiful disaster earlier than others, based on receipt quality. And that is such a tiny, specific, irritating kind of corporate meddling. It does not destroy the game. It does not even destroy the launch, it just puts a little rock in your shoe right before the walk starts. That is the tone I keep coming back to. Rock in the shoe. Not a meteor, not a curse. Just a petty irritation, engineered by people who absolutely did not need to engineer it. The expansion was going to sell. The player base was already interested. The hype was already there. But somebody clearly looked at the chart and thought, what if we also sold impatience? And now here we are, living in the age of monetized punctuality. The defenders make it funnier too. Because every time somebody says, well, you also get other goodies, they accidentally prove the point. If all the extra cosmetics and little bonuses were enough, then the early entry perk would not need to be there front and center, shining like a giant red button labeled avoid feeling left out. That is the real product. The rest is garnish, parsley on the side of a transaction. And honestly, I do not even blame the people who buy it. That is what makes this less angry and more resigned. Of course, people buy it. Friends are logging in. Guilds are organizing. Nobody wants to be the person sitting outside the joke, while everyone else starts making memories without them. Blizzard knows that. They know launch anxiety turns adults into panicked raccoons with debit cards. So, they package that anxiety and call it a premium feature. Which is clever in the most irritating possible way. Like when an app moves a button you use every day, just to make you notice the subscription tier. Not enough to make you quit. Just enough to make you whisper, you little rat. That is this whole launch in one sentence. Not betrayal, not scandal. Just one giant you little rat aimed at a corporate storefront. And because this is Blizzard, there is also a layer of comedy in watching them do all this, while everyone quietly assumes some part of launch week will still be a mess anyway. That is another reason the mood skews annoyed instead of furious. There is a built-in absurdity to paying extra for smoother arrival, in a genre famous for arriving sideways. You can almost imagine paying for the fast lane and still getting hit by a bug, a disconnect and a maintenance notice shaped like a practical joke. That possibility makes the premium framing even goofier. Imagine buying priority boarding for a boat that still leaves with a hole in it. You are technically on first, sure, but everyone is still standing knee-deep in nonsense. Prestige, elite nonsense, deluxe inconvenience, same headache, premium wrapping. And maybe that is why the backlash feels so easy to watch. It is relatable annoyance. Everybody knows this feeling even outside games. The movie that starts 10 minutes late but sells exclusive seating. The grocery app that charges a service fee for remembering your address. The airline that invents 3 new boarding groups so it can make regular boarding feel embarrassing. It is that energy. Familiar, petty, extremely corporate. So, when players joke about a VP line in Azeroth, the joke lands because everybody instantly gets it. You can see the scene. One group inside already running around, the other group outside with crossed arms, trying not to care, and caring very much anyway. It is not Shakespeare. It is not war. It is the dumb little social sting of being told the regular ticket is technically enough, just not enough. And that tiny sting is the whole story. Not epic outrage. Not a grand speech about the death of gaming. Just a company poking a perfectly ordinary annoyance button, and then standing back while the community makes the same face people make when a waiter asks if they want to tip on a self-checkout screen. Confused. Offended, slightly amused. Ready to complain, but not enough to leave. So, if I were boiling this whole midnight situation down for somebody scrolling past, that is the pitch. Blizzard did not ruin World of Warcraft. Blizzard did not kick over the kingdom. Blizzard just found a fresh, spectacularly unnecessary way to be mildly irritating at scale. They took one of the easiest communal wins in the genre and added a premium lane to it, which is so deeply uncool that it almost becomes funny again. Almost. Because once the laugh fades, you are still left with the same thought. It did not have to be like this. The game would have been exciting without the wristband nonsense. The launch would have been loud without the tiered entry. People would have shown up anyway. But modern companies cannot just let an event be an event. If there is a feeling in the room, somebody will eventually try to sell it back to you. And Blizzard, in this case, saw launch night excitement, put it in a box, slapped a nicer edition tag on it, and waited for everyone to pretend this was normal. That is the annoying bit. Not shocking, not apocalyptic. Just annoying enough to be memorable, which might be the most Blizzard thing possible. You sigh, you laugh, you mock it, you probably log in anyway, and somehow that might be the most annoying part of all. Because that is the trick really, nothing fully breaks. Nothing explodes, it just gets tackier, greedier, more managed until even fantasy worlds start feeling like airport lounges, with loot goblins everywhere,